I can record that. 1, 2, 3. What's up? Bad note at the end, but thank you. Bro, don't do that because it does. Hold on. So, listen. Out the box. This thing is so smooth. I'm having a war right now because my PRS is in a bag behind the camera. I played it yesterday. This thing right here, this Gretsch Slimline, they call it the Jetstream edition. It's not fully hollow, so it has a block in the middle. When I tell you the tones that come out of this guitar are killing me right now. I'm going back. been playing 3 years. I've been playing 3 years. For the last 3 years, what's up? Oh, California, what's the deal? For the last 3 years, I play at least 5 hours a day, every day. Now, I'm going to be honest. I got jumped in to playing some jazz gigs. So they sent me a bunch of material, and I am no way, shape, or form where I really want to be. In my head, I'm a killer. In my hands, I'm okay. Um, but I practice every day, at least 4 or 5 hours a day. And I teach school. I have private lessons that I teach. And a lot of that had to do with my advancement. So this time last year, I wasn't as good as I am now. But because I started teaching people like triads and how to navigate the fretboard, it just started sinking in to me. And anything I learned, I started teaching, right? That started sinking in. No lie. I'm a cool music teacher, but it helped me too. Not only was it helping the guys who were beginning, because I got pretty good ears. I've been a singer and a musician all my life, so I got pretty good ears. So when it came to making certain chords, per se, this is a great lesson, by the way. There's a difference with this chord and that chord, even though they're rooted the same. One's a minor 7, one's a minor 9. And that's even different than that. So a lot of times I would get stumped on songs playing this when it should have been. Like, for instance, it's that minor 9 chord, right? So if you see a guy playing, sounds similar, not the right chords. Major 7. That's a flat 5. So it took me a while to kind of get that stuff together. But 3 years, I'm saying hard work. Got kicked off a couple gigs. I have great music mentors. Every week, once a week, I sit with a guy. His name is Derek Allen. He was intimately known as Derek D.O.A. Allen. He played on tour with Lionel Richie, Janet Jackson. He's a bass player, but he also plays guitar. So he teaches me stuff like this. It's like an 11. And if you put like effects on it, it sounds like this. Just a second. Somebody rang my doorbell. Dog's going crazy. Hey, sit down. Sorry, my son just came home from work. So, I was about to record this thing. Thank you so much. Bro, this thing. So, Dwayne, to answer that question, it's still happening all the time. It's still happening all the time. Like, you're never in a place. Well, this is me talking. This is the beginner guy talking. A cheap one, Mr. Red. It's a cheap one I bought off Amazon. It's just called a looper. It costs maybe like 29 bucks. It's a green color. But it does up to a 5-minute loop, and then it has infinite overdubs. So it's a mini one on my pedal board. Let's see if I can do this. Can I turn my camera over? Mm-mm. So that's what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it. This is my go-to board, even though I have a HX Stomp. This is like my go-to. I like analog. So I was gonna loop. Hold on, 1, 2, 3. So, anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope I didn't bore you too much. Couple last days of school happening this week, so I won't be playing that much. So are we talking church, jazz, or what? That's a great question. That is a great question. Great question, by the way. If it's church, then my advice on church stuff is, whew, there's certain, so I did a lesson, the 10 chords every church guitarist needs to know, and you'll probably be able to find it. It may be on this feed. If not, I'll make sure it's on here. So there are 10 chords you absolutely need to know in order to play in church. And it will take you through it. The video is in here. It'll be down on the bottom. Oh, good. When it comes to jazz and other things, yeah, that's it. That's it. And it covers, here's what I recommend coming in. Learn, don't be so gung-ho about having to learn every string and every fret. It's a lot of information, and you will get overwhelmed. Maybe it's just me, but if it's another guitar player here, they might can amen that point. You may get overwhelmed. A great start is to learn the notes on the 6th and the 5th string, because every song is going to be rooted somewhere around there. Then you can kind of like go off into triads and all that kind of stuff. If we're talking R&B, I have a playlist of about 30 songs. Sometimes James Brown, yes. Funk, yes, but not smooth R&B. So when you're talking church, you're talking about flat 5 chords. That's a sharp 9 chord. But when you talk R&B, you're talking about, you will hardly find that in gospel music. So I could play you like Hezekiah Walker. And I play E, A. So, and I'm playing mostly triads. When you're talking about R&B, major 7s. That's Shaka Khan all day. And if you're gonna, the only recommendation, go on YouTube, get all the old stuff. Earth, Wind, and Fire, Frankie Beverly and Maze is an absolute must for guitar players. Frankie Beverly and Maze is an absolute must for guitar players because the chord structures are incredible. The only advice I give, and I know my mentor is going to probably watch this later, is learn the record. So I've only been playing 3 years, right? I play for a few jazz groups in town. I'm the lead guitar player for Club Nouveau. Jay King just dropped a new project, and he's going to be touring on that. It's more of like a Latin flamenco guitar type of thing, which I'm trying to get under my fingers right now. It's a different approach to playing acoustic nylon string. It's a different approach. The guys who get the jobs, and I'm done playing. The guys who get the jobs are the guys who know the record, right? That know the record, the original keys and everything. I'm gonna play one riff that is important to Sweet Thing by Shaka Khan, right? So you're doing great lick, but in the verse, she goes, "Oh, sweet thing." It sounds out of tune right now, but oh, that's the original record. And when people are singing that stuff, they're going to want to hear that type of stuff. So if you're going to start learning older school R&B, the new school stuff is a bit more easy. It's not as intricate. It's 3 or 4 chords in the song. But when you're talking about stuff like Shaka Khan, when you're talking about Frankie Beverly and Mays, Marvin Gaye, there are key changes that like pop in out of nowhere, different chord structures and things of that nature. Learn the record. And here's a great point. Everybody on YouTube, just because they have a channel doesn't mean they know what they're playing. And I know I say that and you're going, oh, well, I'm watching you. I don't even claim to know everything, but I will. When I first started out, I would say a chord was a chord and it was really a D or whatever, and I wasn't using the correct terminology. But I promise you, it was the chord that was on the record. That's important. This weekend, I went to look for Usher's song, Bad Girl, right? And everybody, it's like 5 guys on there playing it 18 different ways. So just because the heading is in there doesn't mean necessarily that everybody's playing it the right way. So learn the record, and that takes time because there are, like Prince, for instance, Purple Rain is not just it's just not a sus4. It's more intricate chords. Thank you so much. Oh man, listen. When you want to learn, so gospel, a lot of times, what will sweeten you in gospel is quartet music. One quartet album you gotta have is Kenton Spirituals live in Harvey, Illinois. I think it's called New Life. Spanky Alford is playing the mess out of this record. Spanky Alford is one of my guitar heroes. And there are a lot of cats out there that are incredible on the gospel side. Jabari Johnson, Chris Payton, who plays for the Soul Seekers. He used to play for Brandy. He now plays for, his name slipped my mind, but he plays on tour with like everybody. And he plays with the Isley Brothers right now. Absolutely. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. Let me see, how can I get to it? Bingo. Oh. Live chat on messages. Oh, bingo. There it is. That's chat viewing options. How can I write in the chat? Oh, all day, every day. Jubu is a guitar god, y'all. Please forgive my vernacular. Jubu's a guitar god. Jonathan Dubose is the reason why guitar players started using wah pedals in church. Hands down. Jimi Hendrix is another whole thing. Jimi Hendrix is another whole thing. If you're going to get into Jimi Hendrix, so I saw Prince play in 97. And when you talk about people like Prince and Jimi Hendrix, you got, especially if you're a church musician, you're going to have to work around the vibe. Because if you're from like the Kojic church, I didn't grow up listening to secular music, right? So that tainted my view when it came to learning music or listening to music. Because in the Kojic church back in the day, in the Church of God in Christ, you know, all music that wasn't church music was sending you to hell. So literally, tears were running down my eyes the first time I heard Frankie Beverly and Maze, because it was beautiful music. And I didn't understand why it was so forbidden. And so I got into Marvin Gaye, um, shucks, Stevie Wonder, that type of thing. But when you're talking about Prince and Jimi Hendrix, dig into the music, because a lot of times the vibe is so infectious that you start thinking stuff you never thought before and that type of thing. So, you know, their vibes are strong. He's one of my. I'm gonna own a cloud guitar one day. Prince is one of my idols. I didn't leave the arena during the intermission. Him and Carlos Santana played for an hour and a half, and I sat at the edge of the stage and never moved. Prince was very sexual in his music, very misogynistic in his music. And so, oh God, whoever's helping me, you're blessing my life right now. Rick Watford is another one. He played with CeCe Winans. I think he did some Israel and New Breed. No, Rick is bad. Um, so when you get into Jimi Hendrix or Prince, you have to be careful. Their vibe is very, very strong. I'm not gonna say it's demon possessed. Jimi Hendrix was an incredible left-handed player. I think Prince has a song called Beautiful or Butterfly. It's on one of his first albums. One of the prettiest songs I've ever heard in my whole entire life. If you just judge Prince off Purple Rain, you haven't even touched the surface on how musical he really was. Some of his great music was like the Batman soundtrack. If I'm rambling too much, y'all just leave. You you just go. I'm gonna get off in just a few minutes. But oh my God. So Alton Hollis, I ain't gonna say he's a twin, he has a twin, but Alton Hollis, uh, Big Williams, Irving Big Man Williams, um, Stevie Ray Vaughan. But Stevie Ray Vaughan was a cold cat, but he was a copier of Albert King, I think it was. But he had the money to get the Dumbles. You can't even find them nowadays. If you find a Dumble, it'll be like $19,000 for that amp and those tones and those sounds. So he was a great guitar player, but he was also a copier of a BB King and Albert King and them guys. Um, Eric Walls, right? They had a relationship. No, I'm not knocking none of that. I'm not knocking any of that. They definitely had a relationship. He definitely sat down and taught him everything he knew. And it's a lot of guitar players like that out there. There's a guy named Xavier Lynn. He's a young white guy from Los Angeles. Whoo! Smoking. Smoking. And he did. He definitely had, he just had like some cut that came out of that amp and his voicings and that kind of thing. Yep. Al McKay from Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's the guy I study because I play jazz. So, they have that karaoke type of vibe sometimes. And Al McKay could hold a groove down. Like he could. And he didn't move sometimes from the grooves. And he produced or wrote a lot of those songs. So Al McKay, absolutely great guitar player. Yep. Alton Hollis is amazing. He played with the Canton Spirituals, right? The new Canton Spirituals. Um, it's also a guy on Facebook. His name is composing guitar is great. John Mayer is an incredible guitar player. Don't ever get it twisted. Eric Walls, he plays at West A. Plays at West Angeles. He did The Voice. He was in the band for The Voice. Yes, Lee Williams. He played with Lee Williams. Alton Hollis is incredible. Big Man Irv, who does YouTube posts, just tracking or practicing. And you may not be able to pick much stuff up now, but you'll get it. Yeah. Prince was before his time. He was above it. Prince was, shucks. Herbie Hancock said Prince came in to play a set with him, and Prince knew all the piano parts, the drum parts, the bass parts, all that. Like, Prince, to me, was everything. Everything guitar, Prince was. Everything entertainer, Prince was. Yep. Big Irv, he's an incredible guitar player. But there's some young cats out there. A cat named Kevin Cheeks. He is fire right now. Chris Payton, get into that. Like I said, Jubu's the godfather. Yeah. Love that. Love that soul. Xavier Lynn. It's just so many guys. No, Bruno Mars is definitely good. Bruno Mars is definitely good, and so is her. Bruno Mars is definitely good. Great musician. As a matter of fact, he really got my oh, man. Whoever's doing this is jacking my night up right now. Eric Bryce. So Commission is my favorite gospel group of all time. Eric Bryce was the guitar player. Oh, Carrie Too Smooth. He been in the game 20 years, too. He been in the game 20 years. Eric Bryce was the guitar player to be back in the day. There's a producer. You need to look him up. He did all of Israel's really funky ballads, dramatic. Was a bass player by the name of Tommy Sims. He did an album called Peace and Love. If you don't have that project, you don't know what real music sounds like. Tommy Sims, S-I-M-M-S. Tommy Sims, he did a record called Peace and Love. It's still on iTunes. Tommy Sims can sing, compose, play. He can write his butt off. Derek Trucks is another one. He's another one of those guys. Albert King or somebody took him under his wing and gave him the launching pad to take blues to another level. I think I saw somebody here say Kingfish. Kingfish has probably been one of the greatest young blues players we've seen in a while. He just turned, what, 22? His name was Tommy Woolfolk. He came from Fred Hammond. He came from Fred Hammond. Fred Hammond used to have a guy named Tommy Woolfolk, and he does quartet now. Tommy was a cold cat. He played an Ovation guitar. Kingfish, he been playing since he was like 5 or 7 years old. His fingers cannot be touched. His solo power is incredible. I don't know. I think Kingfish will give Derek Trucks a run for his money. We'd have to put him head to head in the ring and tell the refs, sit down. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So I'm a music historian. I'm a music historian and a church historian. I don't feel there's anything wrong. As a matter of fact, the Bible says there's Joey Woolfolk. Thank you. That's who I meant. That he played with Fred and Israel. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun, right? And so a lot of what we do now, we get from folks who didn't have YouTube and Instagram and that kind of thing, and they were killing records and killing live tours, and they went nameless. They were with the Mighty Clouds of Joy and the Pilgrim Jubilees, and they were killing. When I mention that, a lot of times that is my not enough African-American guitarists get their just due. And please forgive me if you're not black or whatever, and I'm unashamed a black man. And a lot of times we set the stage for absolutely all day. B.B. King could take 5 notes and make a whole album. That's the blessing of B.B. King. I'm going to look Terry Dorsey up. B.B. King was the master of 5 notes. And he would tear the crowd up with 5 notes. But he was a performer. He was a singer. They do. They themselves do. The industry does not. They always point back. They always point back and say, they got it from Albert King, who people don't know. Albert King played with a capo. You can fact check me. You can fact check me all day. Albert King played with a capo. He liked the flying V for some reason. But I think it had humbuckers in it. But he played with a capo. So his younger stuff, you would see him on stage switching his capo so he can play, because he knew his, he knew that pentatonic scale. So a lot of them do. The industry just does not. There's a series out right now on Netflix called That's in Pop, or What's in Pop. And it talks about how Boyz II Men were undercut. Albert Collins, thank you. I got so many names running around in my head. Boyz II Men were undercut by record execs because Boyz II Men had crossed over like so fast. They didn't have a rival group. So they made three groups, in essence, to try to make it palatable for everybody to buy soulish music. T-Bone is good as well. Johnny Guitar Watson. What's that about? Johnny Guitar Watson was a great guitar player. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not an angry black man. So here is a great point, and I think we agree. But I think we also disagree with, we can only play certain places. We can only play to certain crowds. We didn't get the credit that was due. And if we had a #1 hit, there was a system in place to take the credit, build a team, and beat it. Namely, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, and New Kids on the Block, or not New Kids on the Block, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, and 98 Degrees to come against Boyz II Men. They had a song on the charts for 13 weeks or 14 weeks at #1, and then they dropped End of the Road, I'll Make Love to You, and they got all these #1 hits, and they had no rivals, and record companies started putting out ads saying, we are looking for white young models who can sing like Boyz II Men. You can just fact check me on that. You can just fact check me. Menudo was the rival to New Edition. But because they didn't cross over per se to America that strong because of their barrier to speak English, then, you have a problem. But we agree. They always look back. The industry wasn't built to give us credit. Little Richard, Chuck Berry, it was before they died that we wanted to honor them, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or whatever the case may be. And some of them died broke, penniless, sick. Me and my bass player, Jerry Jordan, who plays for the Hawkins, we were talking about how Sly and the Family Stone was essential to music. Not only music, but Woodstock. And here's the problem. Here's the problem with that, because you named like 90s groups, 2000 groups. We have seen this happen so many times. You would think we would stop being so rushed to sign a contract and be on a label. New Edition was broke when they came off the road with a #1 record. Broke. was broke. And we have seen this story play over and over again. TLC and New Edition and groups like that. And we be hungry for signing a contract, and we don't get enough information so we can make the best decision. We just so gung-ho at getting on the road and being on the stage and realizing, hear me very well, some of the oldest living people are record execs, not musicians. George Benson is out of this world. George Benson is out of this world. He, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Quincy Jones went on record saying, and they all did, and they all did. The problem was it was labeled to, back in the day, it was labeled to bring disdain for white people to go into the record store and buy a race record. The only reason why they call it R&B and not just music is because they were telling their audience who was singing. That's the only reason why it's called rhythm and blues. And that wasn't our label. That was Jerry Wexler. Because they used to call it race records. But they wanted to take that name off so people wouldn't feel so bad for listening to it. It won't be ever just called music. It won't be ever just called music. As a matter of fact, radio is changing their formula now because they had this segment called Urban AC. And what they were saying was you could play Adele and you could play Nicki Minaj on the same channel and get what you're going to get, right? And so what happened was you started seeing people float over who weren't necessarily R&B, but had kind of soulish sounds, but now they were being played on the stations that were supposed to be dedicated to black people. So they're getting ready to make a divide and take Urban AC off, and it'll be pop and R&B. And you'll have to make your music to fit in any category so it won't be so convoluted. But again, I'm a historian. I'm always into reading books and learning and all that. So, but yeah, I get it. Like, take for instance, oh, bro, you are in your dictionary. You are in your guitar player dictionary. Happy Guitarist is one of the first gospel guitar players I ever saw. Wanda, that's a good point, but it doesn't rule the underground. So you got people like, man, I'm on my phone. I would need to have my phone to go through my playlist. The Black Pumas, or Fantastic Negrito, who's in Oakland, California, or nobody would ever know Eric. What is his name? Nobody would ever know Eric, the R&B. Nobody would ever know Lettucey if it wasn't for a disc jockey in DC breaking them, because they were putting out records and nobody was listening. No, not Eric Gales, the guitar player. The singer, he plays, his name is Eric. He's a singer. I forgot his last name. It is. It's making a major, major, major comeback with the likes of Tyrese, DJ Rogers' son. I saw you, David. DJ Rogers' son. Somebody said the internet. The weekend, the internet, all of it. Y'all would have me talking all day, man. All day. No, it's fine. I love I love dialogue. Not Eric Benet. What is like? I don't. Where's my? Wait, hold on. Here it is. Thank you. Thank you. I don't get offended. Even when people talk about me, I don't get offended. Y'all can tell me I suck. I don't care. Eric Roberson. That's his name, right? The singer. Bro, so my computer is on the fritz and I was watching uh, Loki. No, Eric Roberson. Soul singer. So, and I'm more like, y'all really want to just talk to me. That's cool. That's very cool. But somebody mentioned Happy Guitarist. I saw Darton's name in there. Right, from Philly. Music Soul Child. Like R&B on the underground is nothing like it. Soul music on the underground. Loki's great. Loki's great. By I don't mean to spoil it. I don't mean to. Johnny Lang is good too. Johnny Lang is good too. I'm going into my iTunes because I listen to everything. Where's my iTunes? On her. Curtis Mayfield's music was so spiritual. We did already say Spanky. He's a guitar god. Curtis Mayfield's music was so spiritual. So very spiritual. Where are you from, T? Look, I love Philly, by the way. I used to live in Maryland. Um, Bruno Major. Okay. I'll look that up. I'll look that up. And New Orleans got another whole vibe. Philly, though, the whole city is chill. If you guys haven't been to Philly, the whole city is chill. Like, soon as you drive in, so I lived in Maryland, and Maryland's got its own, like Maryland, D.C., Virginia, they got their kind of own thing. But when you hit, what is that, 95, and you get like into Delaware and Philly, they got their own. I used to go to a restaurant called Savannah's out there, and they had soul music that, live bands that would come in. Philly is so chill. That's Shamari Turner, or Shamaya. His name is Shamaya. He lives in Los Angeles. He's so consistent. He holds the concert down. PJ Morton only travels with a piano player, a bass player, a drummer, and Shamaya. And for a lot of times, PJ Morton is talking and Shamaya's chording everything. Shamaya's bad. No words for it. I saw PJ Morton when he did his tour before COVID hit. I went to every show he had here in California, except for the LA at the Hard Rock. PJ Morton, Shamaya is bad for no reason at all. Just bad. When you get into areas like Los Angeles, a lot of guitar players sound the same. They copy like the Jubu thing. There's a guy in LA, his name is Agapi. He was with the Jay-Z and Beyonce on the Run tour. He plays at City of Refuge. He's training up some young lions that cannot be messed with. One guy named Chris McCorkle is badder than, he's just terrible. It's another guy named Derek D. Williams. I think his name is Derek Williams. He's a bad guitar player. There's a white guy named Alex Ackerman, I think his name is. It's a guy who used to tour with Bobby Brown. Oh. Anybody ever heard of Tuck Andrews? He used to have a group called Tuck and Patty, him and his wife. I think that was his wife. She would sing and he'd play his 335, big body. Big body. And kill. All right, so I spend too much time. What time is it? I spent too much time sitting here talking to y'all tonight. Thank you guys for joining. Very similar, but LA has that effect. Guitarist has been playing at that level since he was like 18 years old, though. Never get it twisted. Guitarist has been a killer since he was like 18. So he's like on a different level. He's like, you don't like going to LA and just see Guitarist playing unless he's getting paid. Yes, sir, David. Yes, sir. Ready for another lesson if you are. But Agape knows quartet inside and out. Agape's bad. But Eric Walls, he's still on another playing field. But that's why Eric Walls and like Christopher Payton, they get out a little bit more because they transferred over to like pop and rock. If I'm not mistaken, Eric Walls is from the East Coast. He's from like Virginia. I don't know. I know the bass player because he's from DC. I do not know who the guitar player is. Oh! What is this guy's name? He played for Fred Hammond's younger guy. He played for Fred Hammond. Ooh. And Israel used to play for Fred Hammond too. His name is DJ, who plays for John P. Key. Oh, I saw Eric Gale's name come up. Eric Gales he's other. He's not from here. Eric Gales he's not from here. I got his records. I listen to his music. I watch him online. That's one of the guys that I listen to and I don't try to practice. I don't try to learn his stuff. Because it's just, number one, he plays upside down. Number two, it's just so out of this world. Out of this world incredible. All right? Thank you guys for hanging in there, being online. Maybe we'll come back in a couple of days and we'll talk about more guitar players a little bit later. I'll look them up. I'm going to go back, and everybody that you mentioned, I'm definitely going to look them up. Joshua, thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in a couple days, all right? It's not going to be long anymore. I'll see you guys in a couple days. We'll throw a couple videos up, and then I got to get to 7,000 so I can give this guitar away. It depends, but I'll answer that in the chat. Yep, great Koch too. Wow. I'm going to go back and read all the comments and make sure I know, listen to these guys play, all right? You guys have a great week. Quartet is about sweetness and sustaining more so than it is about knowing all the chords. A lot of times they were making up stuff because they didn't have bass players and keyboard players. So it was guitarist. And he was playing everything in one thing. So, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the breakdown of quartet music as much as I know in a couple days. 2 days away. 2 days away from what? Mr. Red said 2 days away. I'm trying to get to 7,000 so I can give away this Gretsch. I could give away a guitar. When I hit 7K, I'm giving away a guitar. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Send your friends over here. Let's get this joint popping. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.